committed to equipping you to hone your media skills better to stand out from the crowd as a go-to expert in your field. Each week, Rich Bontrager interviews top leaders, influencers, authors, speakers, podcasters, and media professionals about how to leverage media best to help you shine brighter on camera and stage as a go-to expert. Now, here's your host, The Trigger, Rich Bontrager.
And thank you, Dan, once again for that dynamic introduction. Welcome back to How the Rock the Stage Show, The Trigger with you. It's Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, and we're streaming live on multiple channels with another dynamic, great guest tonight. We're going deep into the media conversation here tonight, bringing into how to build a successful media network. Of course, throughout the show, if you want to, you can always drop comments in the chat, send us some emojis, give us some love. Feel like you're part of the family. You're here with us, having a great time. Of course, our mission at Rock the Stage is to help you shine on camera, shine on stage, to elevate you and your brand authority. And we're going to get deep into that here tonight. But before I do that, we do need to mention that Vida Studios is our proud sponsor, and they power How to Rock the Stage Show. Vida Studios and their amazing team helps you produce and bring your message to life to the market through audiobooks, through podcast series, and they distribute it throughout the marketplace for you. And for more information, you can learn about Vida Studios at audavida.com. So we got that out of the way, and now we're ready to get into really amazing media content here tonight. Louis Kareem is a multilingual producer behind thousands of hours of programming for networks, production companies, and creative agencies worldwide. And that's not an exaggeration. He draws on the United States and international background to give life stories and voices that build community across the audiences. His creative background gave him a unique design-driven production perspective. Louis has worked on a freelance basis more and more. He's a senior and executive producer and head of production. And yesterday, he was doing a major production, hanging out with Jane Fonda. So welcome to the stage, Louis Kareem. Let's bring him on in. Good to see you tonight.
Good evening, Rich. Thanks for having me. That's a lovely introduction. Thank you.
Well, you know, the team works hard to bring the best for you here.
Wow. Yes, I have no doubt about
that. So you've been in the international stage. And by the way, before anyone asks, you have a strong accent, but very good English. You're not from these parts, are you?
No, I was born and raised in Lebanon, actually. So in Lebanon, you grow up with trilingual. So French, Arabic, and English. And this is for, as my education. So
well, it's
keep
definitely
it simple for viewers. We don't want to scare them.
Well, it's definitely served you well, but you have been worldwide in media. You have been all over the place, and you've leveraged it extremely well. In fact, you've worked with the Middle East Broadcast Network, or the MBN, and you've done that for 14 years, right here in Washington, D.C., where I'm based at. How do you get into that?
Well, I've been in DC and we never met in person. When I moved to New York, now we are meeting virtually, actually. It's so fun. Before I moved I was recruited actually to Washington, DC. Let me give you a quick brief of where I was before.
Yeah.
So I started in production creative agency back in Beirut for almost 8 to 9 years. So you are in creative mode and attention to details when you do any production that goes all over the Middle East. I had the chance to transition to broadcast. So I used my background in creativity and detailing to put it as a broadcaster art director. So I was part of moving the headquarters from Middle East Broadcasting Center from London to Media City in Dubai. So I was with them from 98 till 2003. And the transition was 2 years of transition back and forth between production agencies and the TV production until it was a full-time TV production. And this project of Middle East Broadcasting Network, was in the horizon. They called me to move with them to create the brand, the visual of the brand, to put the branding book, and to put all the formats. So I was here in 2003 and part of a big team, actually. I had multiple hats between the artistic and the content and directing until we launched the channel. And then I was completely in the current affair department, taking care of all the current affair creative side for any new program format, graphic panels, the whole 9 yards. So,
Well, for example, you took Americanized shows and you took them overseas. As part of your creative genius, you took Saturday Night Live overseas and reinvented it. You took The View overseas and reinvented it. That's
yes,
all part of you building a real network out. But you had to always reinvent it, but in the context of the audience, of the country, of the language, right?
yes. I mean, the American format was copyright and bought by Middle East Broadcasting Center. That was in Dubai. We had a major studio back in Lebanon, and all these American format, they were produced in Beirut. So we bring the talent from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE to Lebanon, and we did what we had to do. So for The View, we had 4 women from all over the Arab world. We kept the same visual concept, the same format. We twisted a little bit because of the viewers, and then the content, it matched the region. And for SNL, we had over 12 or 14 actors, pan-Arab. So you have 13 sketch, you have outdoor and indoor in a studio with the main lead, same format as SNL. So it was very challenging all the time as broadcast art director, without saying executive, but to keep the things like all the time. So you have so many sketch during the show to follow up on, to create. I was probably the first one who used the 3D printing. So the 3D printing for a background to give a perspective of the location while it's just a banner.
So you've learned a lot just by being thrown into it. Like you said, it wasn't on the radar. You got thrown into it. You've done broadcast content. You've done online content. You've done innovative multicast. You did a major hybrid event this weekend. So what have you learned about building a network through all the stuff you've gone through?
Whoa. First of all, you have to respect the intelligence of your audience by creating any content. It's about a good quality content versus quality versus quantity. As simple as that. Because nowadays, you are exposed to all the content thanks to the smartphones.
Yeah.
A 3-year toddler knows how to use a smartphone and create a content.
Yes.
So go figure.
Well, and now we have what we do at Rock the Stage. We can stream multiple channels. We can do a live show against multiple channels. We now can do exactly what ABC, NBC, anybody has done for decades. We now have the power to do it themselves. Do you think content creators, executive CEOs, do you think they fully understand the power we have at our fingertips right now?
Not really, because they care only about audience rating and marketeers, sponsors, money, and bonus.
It's a shame because, again, we have free range. There's no ratings. There's no one really to check in with. We can be free range total creators, which from your experience, I'm sure you've had fun doing that. Take an idea, turning it upside down its head, and you could do whatever you want, couldn't you?
Exactly. I mean, it's still happening. And sometimes like you are shocked by seeing like what's going on screen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So many times like there is people, they try to copy any format and they think they created something original, which is not.
So let's talk about that, because it's easy to take the idea of Saturday Night Live and copy it, but the idea is create something new. Because right now, especially with the writer's strike, director strike, we're going to get reruns and reruns and reruns. I already want something new. So how do you help people create new stuff?
Oh, wow. First of all, get inspired exactly what's going on around you. You know, we know that we have so many resources nowadays. So the lifestyle, but what kind of lifestyle? This is, I mean, you see, like there is a lot of opening position for lifestyle producer.
Yes. What does that mean?
Exactly. I mean, lifestyle, it's like infinity of content. What do you exactly want as a lifestyle?
Right.
You know?
Well,
What?
it's home, it's children, it's baking,
It's
it's
everything.
lawn, it's everything.
It's everything. It's everything. Like, for example, there is a recent channel was created overseas, okay? And their content, it's anything that goes on social media. Regardless, it's not like a TMZ. I love TMZ. TMZ, they took like some subjects, segments, they put like the twist of funny tweet to them, and they present them in a beautiful way that they are not hitting on your intelligence or something. It's an information in a beautiful way given. But to create a channel, okay, that not only goes on satellite, but also on streaming.
Yep.
And you put all the content that you can find on social and you put it there as a content. You know, there is public figures, sometimes they do stupid things and they put the stupid things on.
Right.
And you would be like, I was like, are they encouraging those followers to do the same stupid things as their public figure?
I hope not.
Well, the only thing they put on is that. So definitely it is. So this is what I said in the beginning. It's the quality of the content versus quantity. So they want to fill up their stream and they are filling up their stream with whatever.
So it's better to actually have a plan. As a producer, you guys plan the show, the run a show, post-production, the promotion. It's better to plan it like you would do with a regular studio, regular team, so you do stand out. Because if you do that, you aren't going to be like everyone else doing what you just described. You will have a more select and savvy show, won't you?
Absolutely. I mean, we spoke before about The View, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a daily show for 1 hour or two. It depends on the countries. Which country is taking the format for 1 hour? Some countries taking the format for 2 hours. You know, on a daily show, 5 days a week.
Yes.
Okay. How much content you need to broadcast? Zillions.
Yes.
Okay. So at some point, your audience, it's not the same. Some point, your rating is going down.
Yes.
In some countries, they need to learn to stop it. Stop the show. Create something different. You cannot just keep it on your grid. For who? You're keeping it on your grid for your advertisers, but at the end, the advertisers, they need audience to make money. If you don't have audience,
I think you froze. Maybe we'll see if you come back.
Advertisers, they are not making money.
Yeah, you froze for a second. I was going to jump in because here with the writer's strike, we're seeing this right now. I'm just going to pick on CBS, but CBS has a 2-hour morning live show they do every morning, like you just described. And they're already, because you don't have celebrities, you don't have new movies, you don't have new TV shows, they're running out of all of the stuff they've already pre-interviewed. And now they're interviewing school teachers. It's a major shift, and they can't do what they used to do. So they have to come up with something new. But will the advertisers stay with it? Because it's not the same show anymore.
It's true. But also you can outsourcing for overseas. And this is what they are not doing. You know?
But that'd be a great point for someone new building their platform, for someone building a show like mine. Get international connections, because the international audience is hungry for this, I've heard as well. And building a global network is possible, right? So how do you recommend people start a global network, not just a YouTube channel network?
Oh, absolutely. Now with the streaming is a global. You cannot just think about your viewer in the same region. You have to see the viewer on wide perspective. All the viewers, they are worldwide. I mean, we are in the United States, right? There is American, they live in Australia. There is American, they live in South Africa or Argentina or any place in the world. And they will go either on Peacock, either on Disney Plus, either on any Paramount streams, which is completely American, and they are still connected to us and live with us. So your content, it will reach them. So it's not just about United States. Like, for example, because recently I had an experience with a brand integration and brand placement in film, TV programs, and documentary. Okay. And we know that any film produced recently, it goes on those OTT streaming channels. We're talking Max, Prime, and Netflix. Those are the majors, right? And it's a very worldwide exposure for all the advertisers. Some advertisers, they put millions of dollars just to have their product integrated in the film, because they know it's reaching over 200 million viewers or 300 million viewers. So you have to see the big picture. You cannot all the time focus on who are my audience. Oh, okay, I live in New York. Okay, right. So our audience, they are not just New York. You talk about CBS, okay? Right. CBS morning show, it's not just in New York. CBS morning show, everybody, if someone in Australia, he can watch it.
Right.
Okay, so all the time, their content is focused on what's going on nationwide and not international. I mean, there is people international, they are doing great jobs. You can host them. You know, I watch one segment of CBS morning show for them to fill up the gap of airing, because you mentioned we have this strike, right, of SAG-AFTRA strike. It's not only writers, producer, everybody. Okay, so they host 2 guests coming from London.
Yes.
Okay, to promote their books.
And that's what they have to do. Jan's comment is absolutely right. Or Jan, thanks for being along tonight. Everyone else, remember, dropping your comments, dropping your questions. But Jan talking about everything has gone global. And we now have access, global access right here, right now. So let me ask you, because part of building that media empire, part of building that media network is, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this, but you touched on the idea of advertising placement. When there's a Coke can in a camera scene, Coke is paying for that advertisement. That's not an accident out there. When they're driving a Chevrolet car, Chevy is giving the car, and it's a paid advertisement.
Absolutely. As
new content creators, we can get sponsors that way too. I mean, you can do it with an audio podcast. I've heard of people doing that. Hey, I have a great new Dunkin' Donut. I love my donut today.
Yeah.
Or with this, like I'm doing, if I could have Apple sponsor me, Apple could be my proud sponsor, and I could pick up my phone and take a text right here and be part of the show.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And talking about the internet worldwide content,
Yeah.
I just saw that Fox News, they traveled to Saudi Arabia, to Neom, to interview in person the Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This is awesome. This is what our media, our local media should do. I mean,
this is what we can do now too.
yes,
Because yeah.
content, it's not just between the West and the East Coast. Our content, it should be global. You can go, you can resource, I mean, you can search for content worldwide. There is so much stories outside that you can benefit from, and it will open up so many things. Let's talk, for example, about, I'm not doing any advertising here or anything, but we are talking facts.
Yeah.
Okay. Stanley Tucci, Searching for Italy. How beautiful this program is, and how resourceful is for all the people who loves to travel to Italy, or for all the people who loves Italian food.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it's not just about the food. It's about the experience with the people. It's about the experience with the location. It's a travel log. It's a food show. It's an interview show. He's made it multifaceted for one dynamic show.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what we can do the very same thing with our own streaming content.
It's true. And the same channel they tried to copy and do another version.
Stand by.
It wasn't successful. Okay. So this is something really major we need to talk about, because sometimes a channel, they create a program or a format, and it's success, it reached successful, viewers and whatever, and they start duplicating it.
Yes.
Stop duplicating. It doesn't mean if this idea was successful in A, it's going to be successful in B. You need to work hard on it. And the consequences, like, really bad.
Well, that's why I tell people when I'm working with them is you've got to stand out. Don't copy everybody. You have a different personality, you have a different brand, you have a different style, and your show needs to be unique. So the more creative you are, the more viewers you'll get, the larger your show will grow. Stop copying
really
everybody.
Bad. Hello.
Yep, you're freezing up a little bit, but
okay, no problem. So we were talking, like, the first reality show was created in the US was the Kardashian, right?
Yes. Yep.
And it stopped. Why?
Well, because everyone else was doing the same darn thing after a while, and we don't need more of the same.
Not only that, they start losing content. There was no more content to talk about.
Right. You can only buy so many purses and so many shoes before you get tired of buying shoes.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to say anything else about other reality shows, because at some point, the executive producer, he realized that so much other reality shows now, they are everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. With good content or bad content. They don't care. It became like the trend to do reality shows, regardless the content. Whoever.
Well, and that's part of what's going to be happening right now through all this shutdown. I want to go back to the idea of creating a show, because you've produced, you've directed, but you've show run. To create ongoing content, you have to have a plan to build your media empire, your network. Talk about show running. Talk about show content creation. You have to have 2 or 3 shows pre-planned. You don't just do one show and wait and one show. You have to have guests lined up in advance, a backup guest probably lined up, right? What do you do to make sure you have an ongoing show that's not going to fall apart? Apologize for all the technical difficulties. He's in New York. It shouldn't be that tough tonight, everybody, but it is. Jan, thank you for this, dropping in the experience, the dynamics of travel. There you go. Let's see if we have Lewis back with us now. Hopefully Lewis will come on back. When you do produce a show, and Lewis, when you come on back, just interrupt. There we go. We lost him completely. So we're going to continue to go on here. If you have questions, drop on in. We'll see if Lewis can come on back once again here. And Jan, your reality shows are the rage. Well, they are, but we're going to get very sick of them very quickly right now, Jan. So I'm not looking forward to more reality show. They're already promoting them all over the place. But what I was mentioning with Lewis was that there is a whole philosophy of building your network, building your shows, and you have to show plan this. Now, Rock the Stage show, I'm just going to pick on my own show. Rock the Stage, we have usually 3 months of guests lined out in advance on average. And Lewis let me know he lost connection. Try again. This is why it's live. But we usually have at least 3 months of guests already pre-planned out. Now, the interesting thing, and Lewis, welcome on back. Great to have you here.
Yes.
But this idea of show running and planning, usually have about 3 months worth of guests already set. But if someone drops off, they get sick. I had some guy had his house get flooded. As a showrunner, you have to have backups. So can you talk about the planning and the strategy of creating an ongoing show?
Yes, absolutely. Like I can talk about my last weekend experience without mentioning the product and the client and the whole 9 yards. Okay, so talking about content, okay, last minute changes all the time.
Yes.
People, they will step in, has zero experience whatsoever of what's going on in the backstage and how you manage and direct a show on live stream.
Yes.
So when you go out on a break, you have to come back from a break.
Yep.
Okay. So you have people, they jump immediately on stage, they took the mic and they start talking, and you will be like, what's going on? I didn't give you the permission to do so. So please go backward and wait for my cue to be on. Some of them, they were just talking heads, to be honest. There was no content, nothing to attract my attention. But at the end, I was directing. I wasn't responsible of the direct content. I was responsible to stream a beautiful, clean show for them. Some elements they were missing, but it's off my hand. I wasn't in control of that. Regardless, everybody was happy at the end because,
Well, you do have a run of show backstage again. And when someone violates that and jumps on, changes something, it really does upset the whole flow of the show. Your run of show is the Bible for that show. You need to follow that. Otherwise, who's ever on camera, who's ever on microphone, who's ever doing whatever, everyone gets confused. So when you're leading that as a producer, you're the quarterback. You have to have control of that game, don't you?
Not only this, you have to act very quickly in a smart way. Sometimes you have to turn all the setup while you are live without nobody noticing. Like, for example, we set up that the moderator will sit all the time left frame. Okay. And the floor manager, he insists on the moderator to sit left frame. What happened? He sat right frame. So you have to change his camera automatically. People, they think it's easy, just like, to ask camera 3 instead of camera 1. But no, because he didn't think, his mic, if he sat on the left, his mic is on his, left shoulder.
Yep.
So all the guest mics, they are on the right shoulder. So because everybody, the eye contact, it goes in the angle of the moderator.
Yep.
So if he flip, they will flip. So there is no audio.
Well, but this is the thing that many content creators don't understand. When they run a show like you're describing, every chair does matter, because from the name bars to the microphones to the lighting, the sound techs usually do a sound check. So
Yes.
normally they know
Yes.
what your voice is going to be like. So if you don't sit in that chair, they have to readjust on the fly instead of having it where you preset it. There's so much that goes on to really run a show that people are just not aware the work behind the scenes that make it look good on camera.
Absolutely. And also the key light fill, because when you make your setup and you make your light design, you focus on these people. They're going to be looking, for example, on the right where the moderator is, or left, and straight forward to the audience. So when you flip them, it's a dark fill skin for them on the other side. I mean, you have to live with that. You have to immediately jump on the control, switch things around to make it look really good, and keep moving with the show. As simple.
So
and if a guest to flip his seat,
yeah,
you don't know who the guests are.
Well, right, because you're expecting that name bar to be at the right person on the right
Absolutely.
chair, and
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You've done so much over your career, and you've redesigned. With what's going on right now, with the advent of the new media that we're enjoying right now, this very minute, streaming,
the new
hybrid TV, regular network, where do you think this is all going to go? Do you think this new media is going to become a standard of media? Is this going to grow and grow, or is this kind of as big as it's going to get?
Well, the new media now are in fight with the AI and Chat GPT.
Yep.
As simple as that. As simple as that. AI and Chat GPT, they think the artificial intelligence can create a valuable content for the producers or the content development people to use to put on air. As simple.
Where it's much more than that. Jan, by the way, agrees. She said now she's learning and understanding behind the scenes. There's a lot going on with you guys. But it is changing. But in a couple of the conversations I've had with other media people that have appeared on the show here, the growth of what I'm doing and this live stream and this new media of new content creators, if Hollywood does not get their act together, we're going to have a bigger piece of the pie. More and more people are looking for original content, fun content, international content, and that's what new content creators are providing through audio podcasts, video podcasts, streaming live shows. They're literally doing many of the things that you did when you first started with your career.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we used to brainstorm a lot to come up with a content, and we look all the time for originality about what we are doing. Like when I stepped into storytelling, for 7 years, 7 years doing storytelling, over 125 story. Okay, so if I'm having the guest saying and repeating himself in front of my lens, what I'm doing, again, I will be copying what he said or did in front of other lenses in other channels. As simple. So always I used to listen to all the interviews that he was on, and sometimes pick a keywords, which is now the keywords, you put them in AI and a Chat GPT, you click enter and it will give you the solution, right? The content. So
but that's not creativity.
I used to look for those keywords and build my storyboard and a question based on those keywords. And from the first question to him on camera, he will look at me. He's like, "From where you get this information?" I was like, "You were talking about it in this interview." He's like, "But I didn't go deep in this information." I was like, "Exactly, because I don't want you to repeat yourself in front of my lens." So now, recently, I mean, seriously, there was, let's say, we know that Novak Djokovic, he won the US Open, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the 24-time Grand Slam title ever in the history of the tennis players. Okay. So he went on NBC, he went on CBS and ABC morning shows.
Right.
The poor guy. I mean, he finished here, he moved to here, he moved to there.
Yep.
I was surprised that all the anchors of the three streaming asking him the same questions.
Happens all the time in this world
Same
of media.
questions. So A, he was repeating himself, and B, do some more research, because you know that he gonna be going on the other streaming in the morning, you know, with his sponsor Lacoste. You know, Lacoste is paying too much money for him. So with his sponsor and repeating himself.
Well, that's where, again, part of the media training I do talks about interview skills, and you can't repeat yourself. I understand they're on the speaking circuit, they're being propped up, but you do have to be different. You do have to be creative. You have to be able to think on your feet. By the way, we're going to be winding on here in just a moment, but Lewis, I do want to share that I want to let people know how to connect with you and find you. Scan the QR code and connect with Lewis. He is on LinkedIn. This will drive you to his LinkedIn page there. But he does have video content. Check him out on YouTube. And where else can we find you, Lewis, and learn more about you?
Well, you definitely on Facebook, definitely on Instagram. I'm there. On Twitter, it's more not really related to the broadcasting people. So it's more Instagram and Facebook.
Hit that QR code. Make sure you grab that and connect with them. Lewis, thank you very much for being here tonight. And again, he's got decades of experience. He has been overseas, here in the States, and he's still cranking out great stuff. And again, thank you for taking the time. I know yesterday you were busier than all get out. So thanks for making the time to show up here tonight and rock the stage. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's just an open conversation. I know we have so much to talk about. Sorry, our stream froze for a little bit. We cannot control the internet, but anyway, we still, regardless, you know, Elon Musk, he promised us Starlink internet. I mean, we are waiting for that. But still, I mean, thank you again. And I hope we can, you know, keep on going and try to be more original in our content to create a new media. Doesn't count on AI and ChatGPT, but to use them for our benefit.
Yes.
I'm with that. I am with all the technology that it's possible. We know that the smartphones now are a major source for content, but we need to know what to pick from. You know, there is one digital magazine, they create a segment or a page for fake news, and they collect all the fake news from the social media and they put them there. And it's shocking. Because
again, there's like endless ways
that they will take those fake news and they will do so much with it.
Well, again, like you said, there's so much to talk about here, Lewis. Thank you for making the time to be here tonight. And again, you got some people thinking, you got some people talking. We got educated here a little bit, folks, on some of the behind the scenes work and what it takes for new media, for streaming media, and of course, for building that media empire. One of the biggest things to think about, what goes on off camera, out of frame, what goes on behind the scenes is often far more important than what you get right here. Part of building your network, part of building your media empire is have a good team. Make sure you have a team that's going to help you achieve your goals. So, like we talk about every day here at Rock the Stage, help you shine on camera, shine on stage, elevate you and your brand authority. The only way you do that is with a great team behind you, helping you achieve the big goal. And that's going to do it for the week. I'm the Trigger, Rich Bontrager. Don't forget, we'll be back every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, bringing you amazing guests, insights that help you build that media empire, learn media savvy tricks. In fact, coming up next week, we are going to have a writer, producer that has written some of the best TV shows that you'll know from your childhood. Have you ever heard of He-Man, the cartoon? Have you ever heard of Star Trek? And much, much more. We're going to have him with us next week. A great conversation about writing for major studios and how to be creative from the inside. We're going to do that next week on How the Rock Stage. We'll be back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live. Until then, I'm the Trigger, Rich Bontrager. Keep rocking.